What's up, YouTube land? It's Thursday night, almost Friday, ready for the weekend. Listening to a little Iron Maiden, A Matter of Life and Death. Um, I don't hear much about this album. It's pretty good, solid Iron Maiden album. I think it came out in 2006. And tonight I was going to talk about all the Anthrax albums. Just kind of go through all of them. I don't have all of them on CD, but what I don't have, I have on vinyl. I don't have all their live albums, but I was just gonna kind of talk about what I know. And some of the earlier stuff I don't really know as well as their later stuff, but just kind of each album as I talk about my opinion, which one I like the best. Kind of like what I did with like Megadeth, Metallica, Ozzy, and then I did like Rob Zombie the other night. Yeah, I can. If we listen to all this album, which we probably won't, I got a 5-disc changer. I got Black Sabbath, Never Say Die, which is a really underrated Black Sabbath album. Then I got Baby Metal. Then I got Ozzy. And then if we get through all that, I think it's one of the White Zombie albums from their box set. Yeah, let's just dive into it. I got into Anthrax kind of through a soundtrack. First time I heard Anthrax, it was John Bush singing through for him. So that's how I kind of got into him. It was on the last Action Hero soundtrack. It was the song Poison My Eyes. That's the first time I heard Anthrax. And I think kind of I've heard them in a way somewhere with Joey Belladonna if I heard that. And I was like, oh, wow, the singer sounds different. I thought maybe it was the same singer. So I got schooled and became a fan of the band. And when I really got into them, I got into them through the album Volume 8. And my dad worked for this long distance company in Texas, and he knew this lady that owned a alternative station in San Antonio, and gave dad told him I was like a big music fan, and gave dad like a sample of the music, and had like Korn had just come out with Follow Leader. I think Godsmack was on there. Godsmack was a brand new band. I can't remember what other bands were on. I want to say this band called Second Coming that kind of sounded like Soundgarden. And then Anthrax was on there. They just come out with Volume 8. And they had this song called Inside Out on there, which is like one of my favorite Anthrax songs. And nobody really talks about it. Dimebag's on it and everything. And that's the first time I really went out and bought Volume 8. And I bought they had a greatest hits at the time called Attack of the Killer A's. And it had the album started out with all the John Bush stuff, and then the last tail end of the album had Joey Belladonna stuff. Sorry, I'm drinking a beer. My throat's getting kind of dry. Got a little Shiner Bock right here. Anyway, let's kind of just go through each album and kind of talk about it. Their first album, Fistful of Metal. I don't have it on CD. I have it on vinyl though. This is their only album I really listened to a lot. I think Scott Ian went to school with Dan Liker, that ended up, when he got fired from Anthrax, went on to start Nuclear Assault. Well, I have not heard that band that much. I think I've heard one of their albums, and it was okay. I think a lot of people think that's a classic thrash band. Maybe I need to get more into them. I know a lot of people love them. But anyway, I think they went to high school together, and they started Anthrax in 1981. And then I think there was another bass player. I don't think Frankie Belladonna was in the band, or I'm Belladonna. Frankie Bella was in the band yet. I think it was another guy playing bass. I don't know if Charlie Belladonna or Belladonna, I can't talk, was the drummer. And somehow Frankie Bello and Charlie Belladante, or somehow I want to say Frankie Bello's like his nephew, and that's his uncle in some weird way. I don't know how that works, but they explained it. I can't remember. Anyway, Fistful of Metal. This is like the start of thrash. I think Metallica had just come out with Kill 'Em All, and they had a different singer. It wasn't Joey Belladonna or John Bush. It was this guy named Neil Turbin. I gotta say, the album, the thrash guitar riffs are really, really cool. And it's definitely influenced by the time, Motorhead, Iron Maiden, new wave of British heavy metal. But I'm not too crazy about Neil Turbin's vocals and stuff. You got some classics on here. You got Death Rider, Metal Thrashing Mad. You know, they still play all this stuff live. They have a cover of Alice Cooper's I'm 18. You know, they don't really play Panic or Sub Sub Soldiers of Metal, Death from Beyond, Anthrax. Some of those don't really play anymore. I know they still play Death Rider and Metal Thrashing Mad, but this kind of lineup only lasted maybe one album. And Joey was it Zuzu and his wife signed them. That signed Metallica to Metal Force Records. Was signing a lot of metal bands at the time. So yeah, I'm about to get this on CD one day. That, you know, I got it on vinyl right now. I've only listened to this a couple times. I need to put it on my turntable and listen to it because it's been a while. But I remember the riffs are really, really cool. Anyway, I think of course they fired Neil Turbin, and I think Dan Liker, I fired him and he started Nuclear Assault, and I think Dan Splits kind of stayed with them till like maybe stopped for 442. He might have left after Sound of White Noise, but they do have Charlie Benantante on drums, so he has been in since, and he's a really amazing drummer. But definitely a classic thrash album. Probably not in the leagues of like, you know, Rain and Blood or Kill 'Em All, stuff like that, but it's still a decent, you know, the riffs were there, the songs are there. Still a classic metal album, you know. I love the cover, isn't that cool? It's crazy. But anyway, they had another guy sing for him, and I think he didn't last very long. I don't think he had confidence in the studio, so I think John Azuzu and his wife that own Metal Force Records, I think they found Joey Belladonna, and I don't think he was much of a metal singer. I don't think he even knew what thrash was. They had to school him on that. I don't think the band even thought he was even cool enough to join at first, because I think Joey Belladonna was more into bands like Journey and Styx and stuff like that. So, but it was weird. It kind of fit because, you know, this heavy thrash with like his high vocals. It was kind of like Iron Maiden singing for Metallica in a way. And I think they released the EP called Armed and Dangerous. I actually don't have that. And their second album is one of my favorite Anthrax albums, especially with Joey Belladonna. I think the songs are there. I think Dan Liker and Neil Turbin had some songwriting credits on this album. I'm talking about Spreading the Disease. This is like one of my favorite thrash albums. I love Madhouse. I love SSC, Stand for All. It's got a cool acoustic kind of intro. I love Aftershock, The Enemy. It's definitely got like a Iron Maiden, Judas Priest kind of vibe, but it's still definitely the thrash is there too. This is definitely my probably one of my favorite Anthrax albums. But they were definitely coming into their own. You know, they were starting to write songs about, you know, horror themes, and this kind of their vibe. You know, not really taking themselves too seriously, but this kind of having an edge. And it took me a while. Like, I was all into the John Bush kind of era, and I started going back and getting the you know, Among the Living, and I found this at a UC store, not the vinyl, but the CD. I found the UCD store, and I didn't think much. I was like, you know, it's really cheap. You know, I just kind of get it, and I was surprised how much I liked it. And when I first got this is probably 2005 when I bought this, and I mean, and I loved it. You know, I thought it was really cool. Still one of my favorite Anthrax albums. Very thrashy, but it's still got like a Judas Priest, Iron Maiden kind of vibe, which I love. Of course, they were getting bigger and bigger. I think Madhouse, you know, it got banned from MTV because the video, it's kind of got mentally kind of ill people kind of attacking the band. The band's playing at like kind of like a mental institution. I think it got banned, but the band was growing and growing and growing. They're going on tours, and the band was this really growing in, you know, word of mouth, and this, you know, thrash was like the new and bigger thing. So the band just kept, like, you know, likes of Megadeth, Slayer, Metallica. They're becoming the big four, and this word of mouth, it was the new big thing, and kids were just wanting something heavier and heavier and heavier, and this is the new heavy thing. So after that album, you know, touring relentlessly, they go back in the studio and record this classic, and this is released in 1987. It's got the cover. I heard different things about the cover. This is Randall Flagg from this. I don't know if you read the Stephen King book, The Stand, or this could be him or it's a guy from Poltergeist, the old man, and this album's called Among the Living. Of course, classic thrash album. It's just probably considered their finest hour, the finest album. But I love this album, but I always liked Spreading the Disease better. That's just my opinion. But I mean, this album's definitely grown on me. The riffs are like amazing. You know, you have and, you know, all these songs they probably play live. I mean, these are still a concert staples. I'm on the Living, they still play that. Caught in a Mosh, I'm the Law, they still play. Nice Fucking Life, A Skeleton in the Closet, Indians, they still play. It always remind me of kind of like a Iron Maiden song, kind of with the riff, and kind of remind me of Run to the Hills in a way. You got One World, I always liked that. I thought that song was really cool. IDI, Horror of It All, I always like that too. Imitation of Life. This is up there with Rain and Blood, and Master of Puppets, and Rust in Peace, or Peace Sells, and this is just a classic. If you're into thrash, you know, this is definitely essential. But I think the songwriting and the playing, they get seem like the riffs are getting more complex, and the vibe was just more horror, kind of a horror vibe. But this is definitely one of my favorite Anthrax albums. But like I said, I think I like Spreading the Disease a little bit better. But they were definitely just kind of growing in popularity. I think this one just kind of set them over the edge, or they're like really popular. Very cool. I'm so glad I got this on vinyl. I think I got this on eBay. I love the cover. We kind of got them on the back. It's like Frankie, it's like Charlie's wearing a Day of the Dead shirt, which is really cool. And I got a deluxe edition a couple years ago of this album. It's really cool. Let's see. He's got bonus tracks. It's got Indian's alternative lead, One World alternative take. It's got I'm the Man on here, I'm the Law. It's got Buddy, Loves, Bomb, and Satan's Lounge Band. It's like a joke that they're Satan's Lounge Band or something. It's got a DVD. Let's see. Got Armed and Dangerous, a song. It's kind of cool. It's in a digipack, kind of. It's got pictures, and it's really neat. Let's see. The album artwork is so cool. You know, it's kind of talking about the album. People are talking about it. You know, different. It's kind of got the lyrics in there. Let's see who's talking about it. Liner notes from Brian Posehn, the comedian. I think he's really good friends with Scott Ian. Got little pictures in there. I think they this Dead and Metal album called Posehn. I think Scott Ian plays guitar on it, which is cool. I'm about to check that album out. There's a lot of guests. I think Gary Holt is on it. I think Kirk Hammett is on it, Metallica, which is really cool. Of course, it's hard to come off like an album like this. You know, this is still like a thrash classic, and it seemed like it was more serious than Spreading the Disease. And I feel like the next album, maybe it's not as good. Maybe it kind of became kind of like a joke band, I guess. Especially with this EP that they did. I think it's really cool. I know Scott Ian and the whole band was kind of into rap as much as they were into metal and punk rock and hardcore. And they wanted to do a song with Beastie Boys. And I think Beastie Boys were just busy, and they did their own rap, and it kind of sounds like the Beastie Boys. And I don't have this on CD. I only have this on vinyl. And they have different versions of it. And then they do a cover of Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, and they have some live songs on here. I'm talking about I'm the Man EP. They got this on eBay too. The Sabbath Bloody Sabbath cover is like awesome, and at the end they kind of bust into Sweet Leaf, the guitar riff, just for a minute. It's kind of funny. I mean, the song's kind of corny, I'm the Man, but it's kind of cool. I mean, it's kind of neat that bands are trying new things, and they went on to do Bring the Noise, a Public Enemy, I'm going to talk about here in a minute. And very cool. It's kind of funny. They're all in the Adidas, kind of like jumpsuits and Adidas shoes, kind of like Rum DMC. I think it's kind of cool, kind of funny. It shows that they have like a sense of humor. Maybe that's why a lot of metalheads didn't take them as seriously. But I think that's cool, trying new things. If I was a metal band, that's what I would do. I would joke around like that, probably be goofy. The next album they did after that, like I said, I think they started to lose some of their, they kind of, people that maybe take them as seriously, and I think that kind of hindered the band, and it kind of made the band to make, you know, choices about things. And the next album, this album's really grown on me over the years, and they came out with a deluxe edition where they kind of remix everything. They put the guitars up in front. I think the mix kind of really kind of hindered this album. I'm talking about State of Euphoria. I've got this on vinyl, and I got a deluxe edition too. It's got some of my favorite songs on here, and I always didn't listen to this album as much as the other stuff, but now, you know, I'm listening to it a lot, especially the new deluxe edition that I got. I think I showed this in another video. They put, like I said, they remixed the guitars and put them in front. This is really cool. I think I've showed this before on my channel, but they got some. They did some covers in here. They did "Parasite" by Kiss, and I love something. I love "Antisocial." I don't know if you've seen the new It movie. It's in they actually play in the movie because the movie takes place in the 80s. That song, I think that song's written by Steve Harris from Iron Maiden, which is really cool. Be All, End All is cool. I love the finale. I think that's got such a cool guitar riff. Who Cares Who Wins? It's kind of cool because they were on tour with Promise and Living Color. I think Public Enemy. That would have been a cool show. Really, really cool. Like I said, I think they're not as dark as Slayer, Metallica, Megadeth. They kind of have like a lighthearted kind of feel. It's kind of, they were kind of like goofy, but it was still really, really heavy. I actually got this album on vinyl too. I always like this cover too. I always thought it was kind of neat. Kind of looks like Joey Belladonna. I don't know if that's the band in that kind of Vertigo, but I think the guy from Mad Magazine did this. The artwork, it's kind of cool. Got the Knot Man. I don't know what the Knot Man is, but I know, you know, Scotty. You see the old videos. He's got Knot on his guitar. But very cool. Still, this album's really grown on me over the years. It just kind of I don't know. I think I like it better than I'm on the Living. I know that's blasphemy, but I think I'm starting to like it better than that album. But like I said, that they remixed it, and it just sounds like way better. You know, they kind of got some backlash from State of Euphoria, and the next album, they kind of went in a darker kind of mode. And I think they were on the Clash of Titans tour when they did this album, I think, or maybe around that time. I think they were Clash on the Titans, and like I said, I think metalheads kind of gave them shit, so they kind of went in a darker kind of vibe. And I heard they're gonna remix and do a deluxe edition of this version too, and I hope they do. I think this album kind of suffers from bad mixing, bad production, and sadly, this is the last album with Joey Belladonna to 2011's Worship Music. And I'm talking about Pre-Census of Time. This album's grown on me too over the years. This is not one of the, this is another Anthrax album I don't listen to as much, but it's got some jams on here. I love Time. I love Keep It in the Family. Keep It in the Family's got such a heavy, heavy groove. In My World is kind of growing on me. I kind of, before I got married, I was in an apartment, and I would just, late at night, I was on second shift at a hospital. So I would get home, and I would just kind of turn it on VH1 Classic and just kind of let it go. And I remember in My World, they would have this metal kind of thing where they played metal videos 4 hours in a row. And it'd be a lot of hair metal videos, but every once in a while they'd put like really heavy band in there. And they had In My World video mixed in. And I was like, I don't know what it was. That song really grew on me after I saw the video. And you got Into Reality, Gridlock, Belly of the Beast is still a classic. Then you got the cover of Got the Time. I can't remember what Motown band did that. I cannot remember. I think the guy that originally did it said he really heard their version, dug it. The video is really cool. They're in a building playing, and this kind of wrecking balls kind of busting the video, kind of busting the building down when they're playing. Really cool. Like I said, they're definitely going for a more serious, heavier vibe. This album kind of gets overlooked, kind of like State of Euphoria. You don't really hear much about it, but it's still a classic album. I still really, really like it. they're definitely going in a heavier, serious direction. This definitely has all the kind of goofiness and kind of lightheartedness of like State of Euphoria and I'm the Man is kind of out the window. This is definitely a more serious record. Like I said, I don't know if they were getting shit or not. It kind of seems like they were. That's why they went in this direction. But like I said, I think they were on the Clash of the Titans tour, which was like them, Megadeth, and Slayer, and it was supposed to be Death Angel opening up, but I think they had a bad bus accident, so Alice in Chains ended up opening, and Alice in Chains was a brand new band at the time. They just came out with Facelift, and I think they were just getting hell by the metal fans at the time. That's which is weird because a lot of metal fans love Alice in Chains, like me. I love Alice in Chains, but this album's definitely growing me. I haven't listened to it in a while. I did a video like maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, where I was listening to this album in the background. I'm about to listen to it again. I'm about to maybe listen to it on the way to work or something. But sadly, they did this EP where they were trying to do like the hip hop thing again, where they did a cover of "Bring the Noise" with Public Enemy, a Public Enemy song, and Public Enemy is actually on the song, and the riff is really really cool. And they come out with this EP called "Attack of the Killer Bees," and I think "Bring the Noise" might be like their biggest hit ever. The riff is really really cool, and they had some other stuff, and they did some covers because Scott Ian started his Stormtroopers of Death right when he was recording "Spread the Disease," and then it's got some covers of that on there. And it's got a cover of Kiss's "Parasite," and they do the cover of a surf rock song called "Pipeline." And like I said, it's got "Chromatic Death," which I think is Stormtroopers of Death (SOD) song. And Milk, Ode to Billy, Keeping the Family Alive. It's got a little bit of everything on here. It's kind of a different EP, but it's still really cool. I got this really cheap. This is probably the last. This is probably the last Anthrax album that I got. I got it not too long ago, but I dig it. They're still on Megaforce Records on this album. Like I said, this might be their biggest hit on here. Like I said, this is the last album Joey Belladonna was on until Worship Music. But I guess they wanted to go in a different direction, and they kind of they thought they couldn't do it with Joey. I don't think they thought fans and they couldn't gain new fans. They couldn't take it with his vocals. I think they thought his vocals sounded kind of dated. And things were just changing in the musical kind of landscape. Grunge was getting really big. Thrash bands were huge, and all of a sudden they weren't as big overnight. And I think Metallica coming out with the Black Album kind of changed that too. The whole landscape, it was just different. It wasn't really thrash anymore. It was something else. And I think they wanted to change with the times too. And I think they had a studio in Jamaica, Queens, that burned down. They lost a lot of their stuff. And I think is it Frankie Bello and Charlie Benante's like maybe cousin got shot or something or killed. That might have been when they recorded Volume 8. I think it was. Anyway, they fired Joey Belladonna. I don't think they were all getting along either. And they were looking for another singer, and they wanted to just come up with a new sound for a new generation. And coming into the 90s, this album came out in 93. And they got Armor Saints singer John Bush. I think John Bush had just, I think Armor Saints' original guitar player died of cancer, so they kind of broke up. And I guess John Bush was looking for a band, and I guess he tried out and then got the gig. This is like one of my favorite Anthrax albums. I think this album is really, really good, and it doesn't really sound like Anthrax that everybody knows. I'm talking about Sound of the White Noise. It just kind of, it's kind of like their Black Album in a way, but I think it's heavier than the Black Album. But they even tapped in. They got the Jane's Addiction and Alice in Chains producer Dave Jarrett to produce it, and it's definitely a different sound. I think a lot of metalheads loved it and accepted it. A lot of metalheads didn't. I think when this album came out, it was huge. It kind of made the band that much bigger, but it's got some great kind of classic Anthrax songs. You got Only, Room for One More, that's one of my favorite Anthrax songs. Package Rebellion, Potter's Field, Hyper Glow, Invisible, 100 Points of Hate. You got the ballad, Black Lodge. Um, really cool Anthrax album. Really different. They're definitely, it went from Presence of Time being thrashed to this, and sounds really different. Like I said, the landscape was just changing. You know, bands like Alice in Chains and Soundgarden was huge. Nirvana was huge. Metallica's Black Album, thrash was kind of going out the window. Hair metal was totally gone. So this, Pantera was huge. It was definitely times that were changing. But I think this album's great. It's still heavy. It's just a different kind of heavy. I remember saw an interview that James Hetfield from Metallica said Only was like the perfect song. And I thought that was really cool. I didn't know that he was a fan. I've heard Joey Belladonna do Only live now, which I think is really cool. When I saw him, they didn't play Only. That would have been really cool. But yeah, this kind of made the band even bigger. But after this, I think it kind of went downhill for them for a while. I think they still put out stellar stuff, but it just wasn't as they weren't as big as they were in the '80s. And I think Dan Spitz kind of left after this album. I don't know why. I heard he just kind of quit playing guitar. He just was tired of the music business. He's tired of like his music in general. He took the CD player of his car, went to Switzerland, and made watches. Is what I heard. He became a watchmaker, which is pretty wild, you know. But that's what I read. That's what I heard. But come to 1995, and Anthrax has still got John Bush as a singer. They have a newer guitar player. I can't remember his name. I think he left after Volume 8, and they got Rob. Is it Cajulo? But anyway, they come out with this is like one of my first CDs that I bought by Anthrax, actually. Salt 442. I know it's got a ball and a naked dude on the cover next to a big ball of trash. But I always really dug this album. I know a lot of fans don't like this. It's not thrash. They're kind of going into more of a groove kind of thing, more than thrash. It's kind of like groove metal. I think they're really influenced by Pantera, and even Dime from Pantera plays on a lot of these tracks. Can't remember which one he plays on, but if they're definitely going for a different sound. Definitely, it doesn't sound like the Anthrax that everybody loves. I love Random Acts of Senseless Violence. That's a cool song. Fueled is their whole riff. The riff kind of reminds me of like a Helmet song with a stop go. And I know Scott Ian is a big Helmet fan, so that's probably inspired by that. Nothing is a cool song. American Pompeii. You got the Ballad Bear, which I think is really cool. This is a different sound. I think the record label Elektra dropped them after this. They didn't give them any tour support or album support, so it's kind of sad. But I think this album is really underlooked. It's kind of you don't hear much about it. I don't think they even play any songs anymore. They might have when John Bush was still in the band, but kind of sad. This is a really good album. Kind of underappreciated, but so I think John Bush is my favorite Anthrax era. I just love his voice. Kind of got me into Armored Saint, which is cool. I really liked it. I haven't listened to this album in a while. I still listen to it all the time. I got it when I was in high school, and I was getting into Anthrax. And I used to ride around. I used to have this old truck. I still have it, a '69 Chevy, and I would go around just rocking out to this. Like I said, they kind of got dropped from Elektra, and they're kind of trying to find another record deal. But they found one with this record label called Ignition, and I think it ended up, when this album was released, they really couldn't give them much tour support or record label support. And I think this album went out of print for a while. I think Sanctuary kind of put it back in print. It came out with the deluxe edition. This is one of my favorite Anthrax albums, if not my favorite, and it's so overlooked. And I think this album is awesome. The songwriting is awesome. Dimebag from Pantera is on some of the tracks. Phil's on one of the tracks. I'm talking about Volume 8, The Threat Is Real. I think this album is like so cool. I love this album. It's definitely, they got into like a groove metal kind of vibe. And I think they got Pantera's manager they kind of help them get bigger and bigger. And this is some awesome songs on here. You got Crush, was kind of industrial sounding, kind of like a Pantera groove, kind of. You got Catharticism, which is a really cool, kind of a catchy punk song, really catchy. Inside Out, that's my favorite Anthrax song of all time, I think. And the video is really cool. It's kind of a parody of a Twilight Zone episode where, I don't know if you've seen the one with William Shatner where he sees something on the airplane. Well, it's John Bush and he's looking, and Anthrax is playing on the wing of the airplane, which is really cool. I mean, there's a lot of awesome songs on here. My bonus edition has got the bonus track called Giving the Horns, which is a cool bonus track. You got The Bends, which is a Radiohead cover. They do a really good job with that. I think it's Killing Box. I think Phil Asamo is on there. You kind of hear him screaming in the background, which is really cool. Stealing from a Thief has got like a heavy, sounds like a Pantera riff. It's so heavy. You got the ballad pieces, which I always thought that was a cool song. I don't know who sings on that song because I don't think it's John Bush. I want to say it's Frank Bello, if I'm not mistaken. I think around this time they were on tour. I think Frank Bello and Charlie Benedoni's cousin got shot, I think, and they kind of didn't know what they wanted to do. They kind of stopped touring. This kind of, I don't think their tours were doing very well, and their record label just kind of went bankrupt, and they didn't really have anywhere to go. So they just kind of took a break and kind of to recoup from everything. And it took a long time. They got another guitar player. I think his name's Rob Kajul. And he went on to be in Volbeat, but he stayed with Anthrax for a while. He produced some of their albums, wrote a lot of cool songs. But he stayed with the band for a long time. And Anthrax kind of come out with some greatest hits and some live albums. And in 2003, I remember buying this around the same time as Saint Anger by Metallica. And I remember listening to this album way more, and I just thought, wow, this album is really heavy. I still love this album. You don't hear much about this album. They just come out with a deluxe edition, and I'm talking about We Come From Y'all. I always thought this album was really cool. Got some cool jams. Got a lot of really cool guest musicians on here. But I just remember listening to What Doesn't Die, how heavy that riff is, how heavy that song is. And the video is really cool. They're playing in a circle, and these zombies are kind of after them. I always thought that the album cover was cool, kind of like a comic book. And Keanu Reeves is in the video for Safe Home. I remember I was watching the video, I was like, that guy really looks like Keanu Reeves. And I think it really is Keanu Reeves. You got Robert Daughtry from The Who on Cadillac Rock Box. I think Dimebag Daryl's on that song. Dimebag Daryl's on a couple of these songs. This album's really heavy, but it's kind of got some collective kind of songs on here. Some really heavy stuff. They're getting back to their thrashier kind of roots, but it still got that groove metal feel of Volume 8. This is kind of like Volume 8 with more thrashier riffs. But it's more collective, kind of more diverse than the other albums. But this is still one of my favorites. I think it's up there with Volume 8 and Study of Euphoria. This is definitely up there. Again, you don't hear many Anthrax fans talk about this album, and I don't think they play much from this album anymore, which doesn't surprise me with Joey Belladonna back in the band. Like I said, they didn't make an album for a long time, and they didn't make an album again with John Bush, but they did make like a kind of a compilation album of songs from the Joey Belladonna era, Neil Turbin era, and with John Bush singing. And it's called The Greater of Two Evils, which is really cool. It's cool to hear John Bush on these songs singing them. I always like him singing. He gives it like a ferocity, you know, just kind of like an edge that Joey Belladonna didn't. And in the band, they're just firing on all cylinders, you know, with these songs. They've been playing them for years. Then they invited their fans in the studio when they did this, and it's very cool. I got this at a CD store in like Knoxville, I think, called McKay's. But very cool. Like I said, I haven't listened to this in a while too. It's a really cool idea. You know, I wish I heard Joey Belladonna talking. You know, he's back in the band now. He said he totally could have sung on Sound of White Noise. The way they did, recorded this with John Bush on their old songs, they should do that with Joey Belladonna. Record Sound of White Noise with just him singing. I think that would be like really, really cool. Well, John Bush left again. I don't know why. Maybe he's just tired of maybe touring, or I know he got married and had kids. And I think he was the voice of Burger King commercials for a while. I think he played Sonosphere. And, in 2000, let me go back. In 2005, Joey Belladonna, the whole lineup came back. Dan Spence, Joey Belladonna, all came back in the band. They toured for a brief while. They were going to do a tour where half of it's going to be John Bush songs and half of it's going to be Joey Belladonna songs. And both singers are going to go on tour and do that. And I guess it just didn't work out. It's not that John Bush and Joey Belladonna couldn't get along. I think the rest of the band couldn't really get along. So I tried that. It didn't work out. And I think John Bush was back in the band for a while. I think he quit again. He was in the band for a while. And they come out with like a DVD, Live at the Metro. So I then had another guy for a while. I can't remember his name. I want to say, is it Dan Nelson? Was in the band for a while. And they recorded worship music. This album called Worship Music, and then they kind of had it in the can for a long time. I kept kind of saying they were going to come out with it, but it took like almost 10 years for this album to come out. So they did that, and that singer Dan wasn't really working out. So I heard that they recorded it with Corey Taylor from Slipknot, and because of legal reasons, I think Corey Taylor really wanted to join Anthrax. Because of legal reasons, he couldn't. So somehow they get back in touch with Joey Belladonna, and they re-record all worship music, and maybe kind of change some of the song arrangements. And it finally comes out in 2011, worship music. And this is definitely a return back to the thrash kind of stuff. But it's definitely it's kind of a mixture of kind of like their old thrash stuff in the 80s mixed with like their modern kind of groove metal sound of the albums from the 90s, like Volume 8, Would Come From Me All. This is a solid album. Definitely their best in a long time. I feel like they're just like the band's just getting better and better and better. You wouldn't think a band well into their third decade, fourth decade would be coming out with albums like that. It's still heavy as anything out there. I love the artwork. It's pretty cool. And I didn't really expect much for this album, but I was really surprised. I know Megadeth came out of the album around this time, 13, and what else? I can't remember what other bands, but I remember when this came out, I listened to this a lot. I haven't listened to it in a while. But it has some great songs. Of course, you got Fight 'Em Till You Die, or Fight 'Em Till You Can't, or Earth or Hell, The Devil You Know, I'm Alive, In the End, Crawl. I mean, it's got some great songs. I think In the End's kind of a tribute to Dio and Dimebag Darrell. I remember when I saw them live, they kind of they kind of have a blanket that goes over their amps of like picture of Dime and a picture of Dio, which is really cool. And I think they're back on Megaforce Records, and which is cool. Kind of came full circle. But Joey Belladonna sounds awesome as ever. Really kind of going more of a darker edge, kind of modern sound. That sounds great. I remember they did, right when this came up, they kind of did they might have done the Big Four before this album came out. I think they did, and then this album came out. But sick album, awesome. Really cool. I know it took them maybe 5 or 6 years for the next album to come out. They did like a covers EP called Anthems, which is really cool. They did some really cool songs on here. They did Anthem by Rush, TNT by AC/DC, Smokin' by Boston, which is really cool. Joey's voice really goes well with that song. Keep on Running by Journey, which is kind of Big Eyes by Cheap Trick. Jailbreak by Thin Lizzy, and they have like Crawl, the song Crawl that's on Worship Music and Crawl Remix, which is really cool. The cover is almost like a parody of the Thin Lizzy cover for Jailbreak. Really cool. they started putting the pentagrams and stuff on their stuff. I know Kerry King kind of like was kind of making fun of them, like they haven't had pentagrams on their stuff, but now all of a sudden they are. It's kind of I don't care. I think it's kind of cool. But their last album they came out in 2016. I heard they're working on an album now. It's supposed to come out this year. I can't wait to hear it because this album was really, I don't know what I like better, this or worship music. And I'm talking about For All Kings. I actually got my For All Kings tour shirt. I saw them with twice on this tour with Lamb of God. I saw them with Killswitch Engage. But that's really, really cool. Crazy cover. This album's like sick. I think they kind of go in a darker kind of progressive kind of sound, but still the heaviness is still there. They're still experimenting, still changing. Some of the songs kind of remind me of what would be on Volume 8, especially that song, Is There Rain? I don't know if I'm saying that, but Breaking Lightning, it's almost got like a classic rock kind of vibe, but still thrashy. It kind of mixes stuff from like Among the Living with like Volume 8, some of their modern stuff, but it's still got like kind of the worship music kind of feel. I love Blood Eagle Wings, which is really cool. This whole album's really sick. They came out with a deluxe edition, which had more songs on it. They did a cover of Carry On Our Wayward Son by Kansas, which is really, really cool. But the solid album. I remember this and Megadeth's Dystopia came out. It seems like Megadeth and Anthrax always come out with the album around the same time. That's supposed to happen this year too. Megadeth's supposed to come out with a new album and Anthrax. So I don't know why I'm sure they don't mean to do that, but I can't wait to hear what it sounds like. I think they're in probably the best. They sound the best they've had in years, and they're just in a better place. Joey Valdana sounds amazing, and it's cool. I haven't got to see him at all till like recently, the last couple of years. So it's really, really cool. I can't wait to hear their new album. But like I said, like in their going in their fourth decade, they still sound better than ever and heavier than ever. I'm sure they can play with any band. It's kind of cool they can play with new bands like Killswitch Engage, and that was an awesome show, a great show. But cool. That's all the Anthrax albums. I want to do some more bands, talk about more. Trying to think what bands I could do. I wanted to make this video for a while, but I didn't have all their albums. I want to get all their albums, but yeah, they're definitely one of my favorite bands, one of my favorite thrash bands. I want to say that maybe some of their stuff is material stronger than maybe Metallica's stuff, but I still love Metallica. I know Metallica gets a lot of shit. I don't know why. They're a great band. Like I said, maybe all this stuff will pass. They're supposed to come to town with Megadeth, I think, and Trivium. I don't know if they're on that tour or not, but I would love to see. I'd love to hear what the new album sounds like, what direction they would go in, what it would sound like. It's kind of sounding the same but stronger. I want to say For All Kings is kind of maybe more darker than worship music, but still it sounds amazing. The riffs are there. I know Scott Ian's got other things, like I think he had the Damn Things band, and I know Frank Bello's got like his side project with Dave Ellison from Megadeth called Attitudes, and is it Attitudes and Altitudes or something like that? They're pretty good. They kind of sound like Foo Fighters, kind of cool. I know Rob Cagillo kind of left after worship music. Now they have John Davis from Shadow's Fall in the band. I think he's a really good addition. I always thought that he was an awesome guitar player, and Shadow's Fall is a really cool band. But anyway, I think I've yacked enough about Anthrax. But that's my video. I have to do some more. I'd like to. I've done a lot of music videos lately. I'd like to do some more movie videos. But cool. Have a good weekend. Cheers.